Hello, everybody. It's always such a pleasure to be with you and spend some time with you. A week or two ago, our ubiquitous administrative assistant, Connie Collins, came to me and said, "When are you going to do a fireside chat?" And I said, "Well, what should I talk about?" She said, "Well, All Saints' Day is coming up." And I said, "Well, I'll think about it." Thinking about it really because in my head, the idea of All Saints' Day doesn't have a lot of crowd appeal. Now, if I were to say to you, would you like to win the New York State Lottery, which today is worth $40 million, you would say, yes, right on. If I said to you, would you like to be a saint? I don't hear a lot of enthusiasm coming back to that question. And one of the reasons being is that we really don't have any good working definition or description of what it means to be a saint. What is holiness about in our daily life? You know, we get up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, have breakfast, go to work or go to school, or if we're retired, maybe do some work around the house, help with the grandkids, do some volunteer work, come home 5, 6 o'clock at night, have supper, watch some television, read a book, go to bed, get up the next morning, and we do the same thing day after day after day. So where in that whole panorama of life, where is this thing that we call holiness? Or what is it that makes us saints? So I'd like to share with you today 4 short thoughts by different individuals who try to capture in a very succinct kind of way, try to capture what the idea of holiness in the dailiness of our lives might be. The first thought is from a man by the name of Robert Ellsberg, who wrote a book just a short time ago called Saints and Sanctity in the New Millennium. Ellsberg defines sanctity, holiness of life, in this way. Ellsberg said, holiness is when our lives, when our choices reflect the mind, the vision, the heart of Jesus. That is what holiness is. When our lives, when we reflect God's message, that is what holiness is. Second, from Pope Francis, probably about 5 years or so ago, there was a World Youth Conference in Brazil, and Pope Francis addressed those who had come to that conference. Now, admittedly, he was speaking to young adults, younger people, but the words that he speaks, I think, can apply to us as well. I want to read some of the thoughts he had because he says it in such a heartwarming, realistic kind of way. Pope Francis says, "Today, we need saints for the 21st century, saints with a spirituality appropriate for our times. We need saints who can drink beer and have pizza with their friends. We need saints who surf the internet and listen to their iPods. We need saints who will also find time for God, love the Eucharist, and have a commitment to the poor and struggling. In short," Francis concludes, "we need saints who are open, normal, sociable, happy people." Now, isn't that a great definition of what it means to be a saint? Open, normal, sociable, and a happy person. I just think that's a great definition. And then there's a final, one shorter definition, which comes from a a sister by the name of Sister Mary Mazzarella, lived in the 1850s, and she established a religious community based on the vision of St. John Bosco. And this is what, very succinctly, Sister Mary said to her community and to all of us. She said, have love in your heart, but repress the tendency to appear devout. Have love in your heart, but repress the tendency to be devout. So, Robert Ellsberg, Francis, and there's one more, Mother Teresa. And this comes from an experience I had when, several years back, in Cincinnati, where Mother Teresa was the guest speaker at a conference there. So she went on and talked about the efforts that she and her sisters made to try to lift up the poor and the suffering in India. And they just really do just incredible, incredible work. When she got all through, there was a question and answer. And so as she was speaking, when she began to speak relative to the question and answers, Mother Teresa said to all of us, don't come to India. Husbands, smile at your wives. Wives, encourage your husbands. Young people, listen to your parents. Smile, encourage, listen. What sanctity is about. From those four individuals, I think what we pick up the idea, sanctity of life, holiness is not something out there. It's embedded in the midst of our lives. It's in our families, our companions, our loved ones. One author said, when you go home tonight, look in a mirror. That's what a saint looks like. And you're going to say, oh, come on. But think for a minute. In the scriptures, in the Gospels, over and over and over again, the Gospels tell us that the Spirit of God dwells in each of us. If the Spirit of God, if God is living in each of us, that means we are bearing God. We are bearing holiness. We ought not be dismissive of God's presence in our life. And so then, All Saints' Day, yes, we honor our loved ones who have gone before us, who are home with God, but we also, I think, can honor one another. We all carry the Spirit of God within us. That's what holiness is all about. And so, to everybody, happy feast day. This is what All Saints' Day is about. It's our feast day to rejoice and be glad. So, in honor of our feast day, have a glass of wine. Celebrate All Saints' Day. Thanks, everybody.